Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're going to heat this base up, and we're going to do it with this cold water. The key is in research. We're going to grab the liquid Tepidizer. Now, the liquid Tepidizer is a great little unit that warms bodies of liquid, just like our little tank. Its target temperature is 85 degrees. We don't even need that much heat out of it. So we're going to power the 960 watt device with some automation, so that way when the liquid reaches, I don't know, maybe 25 to 30 degrees Celsius, then we know our pool will be ready. And once this water is warm, we will be able to sort of build a radiator. And what I mean by that is we're going to have liquid pipes going throughout our base, and it's going to be responsible for spreading heat throughout the base, just like the radiator in many of your homes does. So first things first, we actually have to wall ourselves in. That way we're not contending with all the chill coming from the outside of the base. I'm thinking just about the entire starting biome will be a good enough base for us. There was another idea in the comments, which is not bad. Why don't we just use the cool steam vent water and maybe circulate that around the base? That would also work. The problem is we would have a much more difficult time temperature controlling that water. For instance, when this cool steam vent comes out of dormancy, all of this water would start heating up again. And we don't necessarily want that. In fact, we're not even going to approach this steam vent until there's so much water into it that the whole steam vent becomes idle. So I think step one is actually just a whole bunch of digging. Now we're going to be keeping an eye on the calories because a lot of our plants are getting a little too chilly. Right now we have 63,000, which is good for about 8 to 9 cycles. So we have some time, but we do need to be careful, because this chill is continuously moving in. To start with, I think we're gonna put some of our batteries back, like these jumbos here. The additional batteries on the network shouldn't hurt us too much because the smart battery has the automation connected to it, and that controls whether or not the generators turn on or off. So more batteries can be a good thing, because all the extra energy on the network will have to be used before these things will start up. So while we let Dr. Banner finish that Tepidizer research, let's go ahead and get digging. All right, here's the general outline of what I believe our base is going to look like. There's a couple of issues though, namely with this area here. We're going to need to be careful with all this polluted water. I'd like to kind of dump it, but we need to be careful with all of this slime. Otherwise, we're going to have a bunch of sick dupes on our hands. The great thing about digging this out, though, is we're going to get access to this diamond, this gold amalgam, and even some obsidian, which might help in some high temperature situations. As I was designing this base, I just realized this little level is 3 tiles high. This is my nightmare. This is it right here. So we're going to have to fix it. I mean, it cannot be prevented. We will do a little number like this and just bring it all the way over. Cancel this. And yeah. All right, here's the general digging plan. I'm going to have to make a little changes here and there when we get to it, but let's see what kind of work the dupes can do. We've just completed the liquid Tepidizer. Let's go ahead and get started on that as soon as possible and try to prevent our crops from freezing. Now, the big disadvantage with the liquid Tepidizer is 960 watts. That's not going to do well. So I think what we're going to do is actually set up a separate power plant just for the liquid Tepidizer. Maybe here? All right, we're going to do it again. I've got my eyes set on Meep. I'll take a Nails or a Frankie, but I really want the Meep. So back to PowerShell we go. Now again, this is probably not one of my greatest decisions, but our food still seems to be going up. And we need the labor to be able to prevent all the crops from going cold and us not being able to make more food. So at best, this is sort of 2 sides of the same sword. Here we go. Dupe number 2 again. My goodness. We're getting lucky. I'll take it. We're not going to question it. We're just going to be happy about it, and we'll move on. Oh, yeah, Meep. Look at you. You got diver's lung, gourmet, and your only bad thing is you have trypophobia. So you're not going to be doing any digging. Not a big deal. But you have an 11 tidying, and I really want like a general cleanup dupe. So now what to do about a name? So at first I was thinking about Jarvis, right? Because he's always picking up after Iron Man, but Jarvis is really smart, and Meep doesn't exactly strike me as a smart guy. And then I figured it out. There's someone else who always helps out Iron Man, picking up after him, taking care of what he needs done. And that's Mr. Happy Hogan. And we all know Happy loves to eat too, so this is perfect. Welcome to paradise, Happy. Now we're throwing Happy immediately into tidying because that's where his morale bonus is, but we're also going to be putting him into improved carry. We cannot forget to give Happy his hat. And then for Happy's priorities, oh yeah, it's tidying, supplying, and storing all day long. That's what Happy's doing. Now there was no way around it. We do have a lot of extra polluted water in here. Because we started very early as it was spilling, it was still low enough for us to be able to mop. And the more we mop, the lower it'll get down here, and we'll be able to mop that up as well. But because all that polluted oxygen is now floating around, we're going to make sure we put a couple of deodorizers here, and that should help out in the interim. What's going on, Happy? You wish you were back in the printing pod yet? Yeah, there's no chance Happy's not getting sick out of this. So yeah, this is definitely turning out to be a dumpster fire, but hey, we're used to dumpster fires around here, aren't we? Meanwhile, since I've put down the Tepidizer, we've gotten 2 more ice blocks. We need to hurry up. What's holding us back is we just don't have a lot of copper. Alright, we finally have enough copper for our Tepidizer, and it's a good thing because our tank is in bad condition. We're going to put the Tepidizer right here and put a higher priority on it than normal. We want to get this liquid Tepidizer built before we can even start thinking about radiating around the base. We need to get this pool heated. But we also want to make sure we have the automation on it, and that's where HVAC comes in with our thermo sensor. And unfortunately, we're also going to have to put a higher priority on all of this as well, because it doesn't matter if we have a Tepidizer or not if we can't power it. All right, we've got the power finished. Just got to load it up with some more coal. And now we're going to put that thermo sensor in. Once we have the thermo sensor in, we're going to figure out the temperature that we want this pool at. I think we want to get it a little warmer than not right now, so I'm going to start it off at 28 degrees. Oh yes, this Tepidizer is doing a great job. It's already heading towards 9 degrees. It's going up 1/10 of a degree almost every second. This is phenomenal. I'm going to take a mental note that it's the end of cycle 73. Let's see how long it takes to melt all this ice. Once it does, we're actually going to drop the Tepidizer again, because ultimately we don't want to just heat the top of it. Alright, it's only been 1 cycle, and a lot of the ice is already melted, and the water is sitting at 27 degrees. This is absolutely beautiful, and this is exactly what we needed. The next step, once we get the base completely insulated in, is going to be running all those pipes around to kind of make the radiator system work. Oh yes, it's been another cycle, and the tank is almost fully liquidized. This is working beautiful. We even dropped the Tepidizer, and I've noticed the coal generator seems to be doing a good job. This carbon dioxide is staying above freezing, so it's time to put back our carbon skimmer. Now that we have this tank sorted and nice and warm, I think it's time to actually drop this tank. Now we're going to have a ton of dupes being sopping wet and all sorts of other problems, but I think the juice is worth the squeeze. We need this water. I think all we need to do is sort of brick this in for a little while, make sure no dupe gets trapped, and then gravity's going to do the rest. And of course a dupe got stuck, because why wouldn't they? Let's go ahead and cancel those. And then let Panther out. And here comes the splash. Now this is going to take a minute, but it seems to be working just fine. So our buddy Happy is starting to get a little stressed out. Well, quite frankly, everybody is. They're tired of walking through polluted water. It's cold. Yada, yada, yada. So what we're going to do in the meantime is set up a couple of nice massage tables. We're going to set these massage tables at, say, break starts when you're over 50 and ends when you're at 10. No reason to be completely stress-free. You can have a little bit of stress. While the dupes are busy digging and building in an effort to get this icebox radiator ready, we figured we'd upgrade the kitchen a little bit. We put the typical weight plate connected by automation to the ceiling light. So anytime the dupe is sitting here cooking, the light will come on. And then we also put in a refrigerator. I really love the new changes to the refrigerator that happened, I guess, several months ago now, with the energy saver. The addition of the energy saver really made the refrigerator viable again. So now it only uses 20 watts instead of 120, as long as all the food is chilled. The only time it doesn't get chilled is when somebody opens the door and puts hot food in. Well, all right, we have an insulated base. The only part that's not insulated in is the little entrance here. That way the dupes can get in and out. And it'll stay there until we get Atmosuits up and running, which takes the electrolyzer, but we're still a little ways away from that. We also took the opportunity to put all the hatches in one space, so they'd stop eating all of our stuff. But this is also a future location for a beautiful hatch stable. But now it's time to actually build the radiator. So here's how the system's gonna work. You can see that the dupes are still working on some of the radiator pipes. But the water's gonna start off by coming through this nice warm pool of water. and circulate around. Now, we don't need the entire base to be 20-something degrees. We only need the portion of the base that is either growing crops or raising critters. So about the top 2/3 of the base is where we're concentrating on. But then the pipe's just going to go back and forth up and around the entire base and then come all the way back down and filter right back through the warm liquid. Now, the key to this system is the aluminum radiant pipes. The aluminum pipes are going to come all the way through here to collect a lot of that heat. And then anywhere that we want to inject heat, we'll just throw a few more radiant liquid pipes. For instance, we'll put some here, we'll put a few here, and it'll heat this entire area. Let's give the dupes a little while to finish this construction process up. All right, we're just about finished up here. Now all we have to do is connect them up and we're ready to load this guy up. Lucky for us, we already have a pump connected, so we'll just tie it right in. Now this is going to take a fair bit of water. So what I've been doing in the background is taking some of our ice and turning it into temperature shift plates. And that way, the dupes will come around, build the temperature shift plates. As soon as the ice touches the 20-something degree water, it melts and just adds to the tank. Which this is going to be good because it's going to take quite a bit of water to actually fill that loop up. Now the whole thing is stopped because we filled it for probably 1 or 2 more drops than what it needs. This is not a big deal. First things, we'll disconnect it from the input. And old Happy's already ready to become a plumber. So we'll throw him into plumbing and then we can just extract just a little bit and it'll start flowing again. And there we go. Now, how is it performing? That's a good question. We can see the water is about 17 degrees before it hits this pool, climbs all the way up to 24, which makes sense because the pool right now is about 25 degrees. And then if we fast forward a bit, we can see how that temperature fluctuates. But before we can actually tell how much that temperature is fluctuating, we actually need to drop off some of this heat. And I think we're going to start with this area in here. Now, we don't need a lot. You can already tell that just having the regular pipes actually kind of works. Because the regular pipes heat up and emit heat just like regular radiant pipes do. Radiant pipes just do it a little bit better. So what we can do is turn maybe this pipe here, one of these, and then some of these here. Now you'll notice that we didn't do it on every single level. I think it would just be a waste of pipe and liquid. What's going to happen is this radiant liquid pipe is going to heat these floor tiles and then heat this environment just as if it was over here. It'll take a little bit longer. But I think, again, that juice is worth the squeeze. I think we're also going to throw a couple over here because I want to turn the rest of this level into a bristle blossom farm. Before we get to our conversion over to hatches, it would be great to have all that extra bristle blossom. I also wanted to point out a mistake I made without even thinking about it in the last episode. I had taken the plumbing pipe directly off of the water sieve right into the tank, which means it was a 50-50 split. When the water sieve would clean the water, half of it would end up going down here, and the other half would end up going down here. Now you notice that this water tank is full of nothing but clean water. Now, it's not great clean water, but the water sieve still sieved it. But now that we're getting ready for our thimble reed, we don't need to be using this anymore. We want to bring the nasty polluted water over to the thimble reed. In order to do that, we just come off the input of the water sieve and bring it down and through. And then we'll put a nice hydroponic farm here, and that should work out well. And once we get rid of this tank, we'll be able to put a couple more radiant pipes right through this area, which will keep that thimble reed nice and warm. The problem I've created for myself is this is 3 million germs worth of water. Well, the only place that it really matters is right here at the water cooler. So it's the only chance that they actually have to get food poisoning. Well, almost. Because the bristle blossoms also use water, sometimes it's going to have food poisoning in it, which means this bristle blossom will eventually get food poisoning germs on it. That's where the trusty grill comes in and cooks those germs right off. So now it's just a matter of time to waiting for this room to heat up to where it's good enough to keep thimbleweeds alive, and that's 22 to 37 degrees. Not too shabby. The water right now is around 21 degrees by the time it hits this point, so what we're going to do is just raise the overall temperature. Now, our mealwoods can go up to 30 degrees, so can our bristle blossoms. So if that's the case, we'll just raise the temperature of this Tepidizer to be about 30 degrees. Now, the whole tank doesn't end up being 30, not quite yet, because once this thermosensor gets to 30, this shuts off. But this thermosensor is a little closer to this Tepidizer than it is the rest of the water, so there'll be a difference. You can see this water up here is 25 degrees, this is down here is 28. So there's a difference, but it's not too killing bad. There's other good news. These radiator pipes, even if they don't have a radiant liquid pipe, are already increasing the overall temperature of the base. For instance, I couldn't plant a plant by our beautiful massage tables before because it was too cold. And already it's over 11 degrees, which is plenty warm enough for our beautiful briar seed. As another example, look what the pipes have already done. All this mealwood is good, save these last little 3 plants, and they are right on the cusp. You can see this planter box is at 8.6, and just like that, another mealwood is flipped. I wanted to highlight another key feature of this radiator system. Notice that most of the pipe runs are going through insulated tiles. This is important because unless the pipes are dropping off chill or picking up chill, we don't want it interfering with the rest of the environments. So for instance, if we have the pipe traveling up through here, but not through the insulated pipe, it would be unnecessarily chilling because this area is still very cold. The last couple of things I wanted to do is kind of increase the little base area. We're going to start by putting some beautiful fire poles in, made of copper ore, because we finally have plenty. I had to highlight, it's only been a couple of cycles, and almost every piece of mealwood that we have is in great body temperature. Our calories are skyrocketing, and overall, everything's starting to look really good. We still need more dupes, though. You can see we're a little behind on irrigation over here. But that problem's going to be fixed sometime in the future too, because we're going to get into hatch farming. I haven't put any of the hatches in here because I don't want to start feeding them. We got to figure out what we're going to feed them. And we only have a little bit of sedimentary rock right now to be able to convert these over to stone hatches. So we'll see how that goes. The only other update I have is we found a couple more vents. This one here, and then a beautiful natural gas geyser. That means we're going to be able to run some natural gas power. Really excited about that. But all that is for another episode. We did a lot today. Our radiator pipe system is doing great. Our entire base is now within temperature to run whatever crops that we want. That was a big hurdle to overcome, but now it's all gravy. I hope you had a great time watching this episode. I know I had a great time making it, and I'll talk to you soon.